Hello and welcome here to a Champions League preview here from Talk FCB. Welcome back here to the channel, guys. You're not on the wrong channel. What we are going to be doing today is having a look at the upcoming Champions League games this week. Barca not in action until the weekend against Eibar. So what I thought I would do is just preview some of the big games that are coming up in the Champions League this week. And of course, who gets tired of hearing that Champions League music? 16 teams remain right now in the 2017-18 Champions League. We're going to be seeing 8 of those teams in action on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, but who will gain the upper hand in these first leg ties? We're going to be discussing Basel against Man City, Juventus against Tottenham, Porto against Liverpool, and of course, Real Madrid versus PSG. All that and more coming up in this special Champions League preview. Let's do this. So like I say, 4 games coming up in this Champions League midweek game week. We got Basel against Man City and Juventus against Tottenham. Those two are going to be coming up on Tuesday evening, and then on Wednesday, Porto and Liverpool and Real Madrid against PSG. If you have any plans at all for Valentine's Day on that Wednesday evening, I strongly suggest that you cancel them, because there is going to be an absolute feast of Champions League football coming your way. But we are first of all going to start in Switzerland, where Man City will be travelling there to face FC Basel, and on paper this certainly looks like a very one-sided tie, and that's also what you guys have predicted in my poll on my community section. Thank you to everybody who got involved with the poll. So you guys thinking definitely in this game Man City coming into it as huge favourites, and that's absolutely no disrespect from any of us really to FC Basel, who currently sits second in the Swiss Super League behind Young Boys, but I think it's simply down to the fact that Man City right now are irresistible. They have been on absolutely unstoppable form this season. If you look at the Premier League table, they're 16 points clear at the top of the Premier League. When has that ever been done, at least recently, at the top by that kind of margin? That's special right now from Man City. They cantered to their group win in the Champions League, 3 points ahead of Shakhtar it finished, but really it could have been more than that. They did lose to Shakhtar on that final game week, but they did field a weakened team. City beat Leicester 5-1 at the Etihad Stadium on Sunday. Aguero scored 4 times. Kevin De Bruyne once again was irresistible. 3 assists on the day for him. I think he's one of those players who right now is exceptional. One of the world's best. He is world class. Put him anywhere on the pitch and he will have an impact, Kevin De Bruyne. I've been so impressed with him this season. And for me, Man City are definitely one of the favourites to win this Champions League. I think with Pep Guardiola, he's taken them to a different level entirely. They're playing fantastic football, but at the same time, getting terrific results. But I wouldn't say they're solely the outright favourite to win. I think they've been playing some unbelievable football, don't get me wrong. They're a fantastic team, but I just don't think they should be the sole favourite, simply because I would still question how much experience they have in the real latter stage of the Champions League. How many of those players have been there and done that in semi-finals, in finals? How will they handle the really big occasions, the really big ties when you've got to get some game management? How are they going to counter that? And I think of all their team, centre-back and possibly left-back because of the injury to Benjamin Mendy, that's where you'd probably target, where Man City right now aren't just incredible as the rest of their team. But like I say, they're definitely one of the favourites. I don't think they're the sole favourite, but in this particular tie, you can see nothing other really than a Man City win. Basel will come into this game, they'll have confidence, they'll try and win, of course they will. And to be honest, in the years gone by, they have been difficult opposition for Premier League sides. But right now, even though Guardiola's away Champions League record isn't as spectacular as his home record, and even though Basel can prove tricky at times, I would still certainly back Man City in this game on Tuesday. And then at the same time, on that Tuesday evening, one of the most exciting ties, I think, of the last 16 stage, that is Tottenham against Juventus, and Tottenham will be travelling to Turin to take on Juve in Italy in that first leg. And I think, to be honest, it's very difficult to separate these two teams, either home or away. I think it's going to be very tight, a very cautious first leg for sure. I wouldn't expect an abundance of goals. I think two teams who certainly set up defensively well and try and build on that then in the rest of their setup. I think Juve on paper certainly have the team with more Champions League experience. There's a lot of players in there who have gotten certainly to the latter stages, to finals. They're yet to win it, of course, ever in their history. But Juventus still have a strong team. They've got a good coach in Massimo Allegri, and I think certainly this season they will still be expecting to get beyond the last 16 stage. Tottenham right now are a bit of an unknown quantity in the Champions League. Obviously they have featured in the Champions League in years gone by. They've got Harry Kane, who's one of the best strikers, if not the best striker in the world right now, depending on who you ask. But once again with them, it's about experience, about game management, it's about how they come into this, how they can perform at this kind of level. And I think you guys in my polls, this is one of the toughest games that you had to predict. A lot of you going with a Juve win, some of you as well though believing that Tottenham could go there and win tomorrow night, and obviously some people believing that it could be a draw. And I can't really split these two teams. Juve currently a second in Serie A, Napoli currently ahead of them in that top spot. They started the season very, very slowly, very uncharacteristic for them. They haven't really managed to catch that up and get back that momentum, but they are second in the league, and they're getting up closer to their best, I feel, in the last few weeks. Some team news for them. Matuidi is expected to miss this game entirely, and Dybala going into this game was touch and go whether he was going to be fit to play the part. Originally, it definitely seemed like he would play no part in this game, but Dybala did train with Juventus today, so they're still undecided whether Dybala will maybe make an appearance from the bench or whether he'll have something more than that. Juve going to decide that, obviously, by tomorrow night. Tottenham going into the game in very good form indeed. They came out on top in the North London derby on Saturday. Yet another Harry Kane goal in that game, and to be honest, it was 1-0 against Arsenal, but it should have been a lot more. Tottenham had chances, Harry Kane had more chances that he could have scored, but that goal takes Harry Kane to 23 Premier League goals this season. But the big question from me, and I think from a lot of people, is can Harry Kane replicate that fantastic form that he's had in the league? Can he then take that into the Champions League and fire Tottenham into the latter stages? That's the big question. On the big occasion, in the big stadiums, on the big nights, under big pressure, can Harry Kane replicate that form and score the goals that will definitely get Tottenham further in this tournament? They're currently 4th in the Premier League. It's been a bit of a season of transition. Of course, they're playing at Wembley until their new stadium is ready, and they've had some brilliant results this season. They played very well at the weekend against Arsenal, but at the start of the season they really struggled to get really home results at Wembley. They were sort of betting themselves in. They were making that transition, and they did struggle to get results at home early on in the season, which has impacted them as the season has gone on. But I just think this game in general will be very, very interesting just to see the different styles go up against each other. Allegri likes to play predominantly from the back, of course, a defensive-minded team that Juventus have been over the years, but he's tried to sort of evolve that. They're not always that strong at the back anymore, but they do cause you problems going forward. Pochettino's team, you know they're going to work hard as a team. You know their setup is going to be very, very good. They love to press from the front. They work extremely hard, every single one of them. And of course, they've got Kane up front who can score the goals and provide them with that ammunition. I think one thing that will be a big miss for Tottenham in these kind of games will be Toby Alderweireld, one of the best centre-backs, I think, when he's fit in the world, and certainly he will be a miss in this game. He will not be travelling to Turin for this game. Davinson Sanchez has been deputising for him in recent weeks, and I'm not really sure about Davinson Sanchez. Sometimes he looks absolutely brilliant. At the weekend against Arsenal, he played very, very well indeed, but at other times he can look a bit shaky, so I think that's certainly an area that Juventus will be looking to exploit, and it's going to be really, really interesting to see which way this one goes. And now we move on to Wednesday's games in the Champions League, to Portugal, where Liverpool will be facing Porto, and under Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool are certainly exciting to watch. Whether it's one way or another, they're either brilliant or they're absolutely appalling at the back, but it will certainly be an exciting game against Porto, and I would certainly bet on some goals. There have been some scintillating performances from Liverpool's attacking trio. You think of how good Mohamed Salah has been this season. I think Firmino as well is a very, very underrated player. What he gives them, their whole dimension as an attack, and also Sadio Mane, who I think is still yet to find his very best form that we've seen in the past, but of course he can still offer a lot in terms of pace, getting in behind, and he can also pop up with a very important goal as well when needed. And also, you guys believe that Liverpool are likely to win this one against Porto, but there are a few people that do believe that Porto could potentially pull off a win in this game, and I think that could happen. I think going into this game, Liverpool are definitely favourites. There's no doubt about that at all, but I do think that Porto will pose a threat. They will believe at home they can get a positive result. Liverpool aren't really the type to come and sit deep and defend. They're certainly still going to attack. They're going to try and hit Porto on the counter, and I think if Porto try hard enough, if they play well enough as a team, they've been very good in recent weeks. They're currently top of their league in Portugal, 2 points ahead of Sporting. They've got a game in hand as well. They beat Chaves by 4 goals on Sunday, so they're certainly coming into this game on good confidence, and I think they can certainly target that Liverpool defence, because going forward with Salah, with the players around him, they're absolutely brilliant. Liverpool, they've got some phenomenal attacking players in their team, and they go forward so well, and with such pace as well. But at the back, they can definitely be got at. Van Dijk has been brought in. I still don't feel like he's at his best level yet. He's still getting up to speed. He didn't really have too much of a pre-season with Southampton. Obviously, a lot of speculation surrounding his future. He finally got that move in January, but he's still getting up to speed. I think this game in some ways will come down to individuals. Will Salah pop up with the goals that we've seen so far in the Premier League with Liverpool? That's a big question as well, much like it was with Harry Kane. Can he replicate those kind of goals in the Champions League? That is going to be remains to be seen. But I think Liverpool going into this game definitely favourites, but I wouldn't write Porto off just yet. And then, of course, to the mega clash of the Champions League week. For sure this week, this is the highlight. This is the big game. And like I said earlier, if you do have plans on Valentine's Day, either incorporate this game into them or cancel them altogether, because you do not want to be missing this game. It is going to be a showdown on Wednesday night at the Santiago Bernabeu. It's Real Madrid against PSG, and I honestly cannot separate these two teams. You guys in my poll are certainly back in PSG, whether that's with your head or with your heart, I don't know, but I personally just can't separate them. You can never really rule out Real Madrid in the Champions League. They could be bottom of La Liga, getting relegated, and you still know they would pop up with an injury time winner from a corner. That's just how it goes. Real Madrid in this competition will always be ready to step up, always be ready to progress, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to go out against PSG and they're going to be confident because they believe this is their competition. They believe no matter what's going on in their league campaign, they can still win this. So that's the way that Real Madrid are going to see this, and that's why for me this is all about PSG. The big questions going into this game all revolve around Paris Saint-Germain. It's the biggest test they have come across for them, simply because we know what Real Madrid can do. We know how they see this competition. We know the players they have, but it's all about PSG. You know, they claim to be one of the favourites to win the Champions League. They claim to be ready to win it. They've got the players, they've got the money, they've got the manager. They can go out there now and they can get this trophy. Well, this is the kind of game where you've got to stand up and you've got to stamp your authority on this competition. If you believe that you're ready to win it, if you believe you should be one of the favourites, now is the time to back up those claims. If they come through this tie, if they manage to knock out Real Madrid, the defending two-time champions in the last 2 years, then you have to say PSG are genuine contenders, and we'll hold our hands up and we'll probably give them a pat on the back for that. But if they can't overcome this Real Madrid side who are currently 4th in La Liga, they've struggled this season, knocked out the Copa del Rey to Leganes, you have to start questioning the mentality of these PSG players. They should be coming through this game and knocking Real Madrid out. But that is the big question. Will they turn up on the day? Will they get it right on a massive Champions League night at the Bernabeu? They've got the money, they've got the talent, they've got the players, they now have Neymar. But will this be the night that PSG well and truly announce themselves in the Champions League? Or will they once again fall short and fail to take a massive opportunity just like they did last year during the 6-1 defeat to Barcelona? We are going to find out on Wednesday evening, and I can bet no matter what the result, that game is going to be absolutely electric. So thank you very, very much indeed, guys, for joining me for this special Champions League preview. If you did enjoy this video, please do let me know, and I would definitely make it a feature if it's something that you want to see in the future and something that you did enjoy. Thank you to all of you, like I say, who did get involved in the voting, in letting me know who you think will progress from these ties in this first leg of matches this week in the Champions League. I would certainly recommend that you sit down and soak up this Champions League action, because I'm really, really excited for the ties in this round. And like I say, that Real against PSG game, that is going to be electric, and we're going to find out who's going to be coming through that, who's going to get the advantage. We are going to find out very, very soon indeed. So thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you very, very soon indeed. But until then, as always, Vasca El Barça!